Hey there, everybody. All who is coming on, I see you, I see you, I see you. We're live and kicking, getting ready for this evening session. I'm so excited. I got my girl here with me. Yes, my girl Jessica is on my side. See, I can lean on me when you're not strong. I ain't stronger than she's stronger than. So we're excited tonight about our topic. Love is blind. Yeah, is love blind? That's what the question is. Is love blind? And so we're gonna talk about it a little bit, and then we got some extra guests that's coming on that's gonna share with us their perspective of is love blind. Y'all push the share button. When you come in, push the share button. Give us your likes, your hearts, your camera action, all that good stuff. We want to know that you're here. And we want you to talk to us. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, put it in the feed and we'll sure be well to get back to you. All right, Jess, let's start with you. Is love blind?
Is love blind? Okay, so let's talk about it. I think that love can be blind, right? I won't say that it is all the time, but I do think that love is blind, and the reason that I think that it is because um, one of the definitions of being blind is not being able to perceive or discern certain
Mm.
things. And so I know that a lot of times when we get into relationships, what no matter what type of relationship I think, period, we come in sometimes with our own expectation of what it's going to be or what it should be. Um, and I think that that blinds us from some of the things that we may be getting from that person. Um, you know how just like in our regular relationship, I mean, I would just say with guy, anything. If you have your own idea of what something is supposed to be, you kind of close out some of those things. I know being young, trying to be in relationships, and I say trying because when you're young, you don't know enough about yourself to even want to, to even want to be in a relationship or to know what you want from another person, right? So I think sometimes you get in, and what do we say when I look back and I say, okay, well, I saw those signs,
Ha,
I saw that
ha,
this happened, but it's
ha.
always later on, after we get to a certain point in through the relationship that we go back and say, oh, I should have saw that, but I didn't, right? Because whatever that infatuation was, or just whatever that excitement of the relationship was, sometimes those things blind us, and then we only see the highlights of the person or the highlights of their character because we feel some type of way for the person,
I
right?
know.
Um, so
So
yeah,
we
that
don't
makes
want to
us,
see.
yeah, you don't want to see in a sense because it's like, oh, I want this,
Right,
right?
right.
And so we start to justify, well, that's just, because his grandmama used to, and then, oh, well, he worked a lot today. Or, even if it's parents or somebody else, you start to kind of, oh, they might have had a rough day at work. So you start to find ways to justify their actions and then you start covering it up.
Yeah.
So it's like you make yourself blind to some of the things. So that's why I think that love is sometimes blind because I think sometimes we get fixated on the activities of a thing or the things that a person may be doing for us or whatever, and that'll blind us from the reality of who that person may be. So
Oh, I love it. I love it. I
that's
love it. You want to know why I came up with this subject? Okay.
my.
So I was looking at, and y'all probably familiar with this show. I was looking at this show, Love Is Blind. I think Kyrie, she gonna come up here next. I'm gonna put her up here next. I think Kyrie is the one who introduced me to the show. And she told me, well, I saw it before, but she was like, Miss Shauna, you need to go see this next season. And I was like, okay, I'll go watch it. Man, I watched that sixth season, and that thing made me mad. I was hot, and then one of my friends was like, Shauna, it's just TV. Like, I'm like, but no, because that mess ain't right. I did not like what happened with the black couple. And listen, if you ain't seen it, you should go check it out. You're gonna see what I'm talking about. Like I know that they gotta go through stuff to know if they blind, to meet somebody, they gotta talk to each other in a pod, and so they get to know each other emotionally. And they're not getting to know each other, what they look like, and all of that stuff like that, which I thought was kind of cute. But then they do get to meet each other, and then they live with each other. They decide whether they want to be married or not. They go to the altar, and then dude on this show gonna decide he don't want the black girl at the altar. And so I was hot. I was like, what? You gonna take that girl all the way? You let her get her dress. You let her be excited about her wedding day, and then as soon as she got up there, you said you don't want to marry her.
Well, watch this. I feel like leave me at the altar.
Huh?
Leave me at the altar.
Don't let me get that far.
Don't take me through a lifetime of pain and anguish because you sitting up there telling me one story is really not. Honestly, I think a lot of people, if we really thought about it, like how we really leave me at the altar.
So you all right with him? Just
leave me at the altar. Make that decision then. Like it's gonna hurt.
Oh, it killed her.
It might now, but how much more will I be hurt if I get married to a person and I'm with them years and years and years and years, and then you decide to get on up. Leave me at the altar.
Well, listen, I'm not in agreement with my friend with that one. Don't leave me at the altar because you know if you want to marry, go. You saw all them signs. You knew you wasn't blind to that. You knew that you was not going to do that in the get go. He was having problems with it all along. And since Kyrie was the one introduced to me, I'm about to bring her on. I don't want her to don't want to corrupt her Islam line, but this is why I came up with this because I think that we go into situations knowing, and then you decide at the last minute you don't want me.
So let's talk one more second about the show because I do like the show. I'm behind in the sense of like I'm not up on the current
girl
season, but
child.
Just the idea. So that goes to show you like perception is reality. So like what was he really suffering with, right? Like I don't even think that I saw this one, but the idea that you go through this whole process, right? You have like 100 dates, like you said, blind. You don't see the person, you don't do whatever, so you get the opportunity to connect emotionally, and then you develop these feelings, and then you decide that you want to go to the next level, whatever, right?
Right.
Now they get to live with each other,
right? Which gonna show you more about the person.
Absolutely, right. So it's not until because it takes a long time to get to know somebody, like on a regular basis, right? Right. Because the person that I am sitting right here with you Sunday is not the person that I am on Wednesday afternoon after everybody that got on my nerves. Exactly. And it's 5:30. You know what I mean? So it's a different opportunity, and then we also handle all types of life things differently, right? So the other things that may be going on in my life may alter that as well. But all of that to say, like, so you get through that. What was he really struggling with? Was he struggling with the appearance after? Like, do you feel like it was a shift after he saw her?
So in the pod, I'm gonna let Kyrie come in here and talk about this too. In the pod, he was having a problem because he wanted her to tell him how she looked, and she would not. She stood to that. She was like, I'm not telling you. Like, you can't if you're gonna fall for me, you're not gonna fall for me off of my looks. Now, that's how we usually do that. You get attracted to that person usually first. That's one of the reasons that it ain't blind. You see what that person look like, you know if you're attracted to him or not. But they didn't get that opportunity. But she would not tell him she was light skinned, dark skinned. She would not tell him. And he wanted to know. And I feel like when he saw her, he thought that she was fine, but it wasn't what he wanted.
And so I think that's where that blindness comes in right there. That's why I was like asking because, like I said, if we have something set in our minds, a lot of times we don't think that we're even operating in that space. But for you to connect with the person emotionally and then allow everything else that happened thereafter to change your mind, to me, that's like you said, you had something preset So whether it was light skin, tall, short, whatever it was something that you had premeditated that you couldn't get over.
Well, he was having issues with his dad and how his dad didn't wasn't committed to his mama when they were married.
Okay.
So that he was troublesome with that because he didn't know if he was gonna be able to be that man to stay faithful. So he was struggling with that while he was in there because he was like, my dad didn't do it.
Mhm.
And so she was convincing him to go to therapy to get some help to talk about what happened in your childhood.
So there goes that blindness, right? Like because of the experience that he had, even though he had something that could have been far greater or some, something amazing because of his fear. Um, we talk about that a lot on the church side. Like if we have fear, that's going to alter our ability to see. Period.
It is.
Fear alters your sight.
Come on.
And so if you have something that's preventing you, just that very thing, he could have been very much in love. He could have still been attracted to her. He could have still been in it 100%. But mentally,
That's right.
he was married to this idea of what could happen. And so that's what fear does a lot to us. It doesn't cause us to be able to see a lot of things. So that's why I stick with my position of yes, very much so is blind because we have a lot of factors that causes us to be blind in a lot of different areas. So that's why I just wanted to bring that point out.
Yeah, and he did, but he ended up liking her. Oh, he ended up liking her. At the end, he wanted to be back with her because he saw what he had did wrong. So at the reunion, he wished that he had gone on with it, but he didn't. So I kind of had a little some pity with him but I was like, no, dude, you did her wrong. Like at the altar, like, dude, no, you should have told her that before y'all got married. All right, I'm about to bring on Kyrie. We seem to be having a little issue with the Facebook. I believe it's live. If they're not my friend, Tyree, I don't know if they can come on. Yeah. I need you to you got it up. They talking. Okay, hello everybody. Push the share button. Tyree, I believe that she might be restricted from getting on. Put it in, y'all put that in y'all story so others can come on with y'all. Those who are live with me, y'all put it live in your story and then others can share along with us. Okay. But Kyrie, if you put it live in your story, I mean Tyree, them names. Tyree, if you put it live in your story, that they can probably follow it. Okay? All right, we're about to bring on Kyrie. She's gonna be my first lady since she was the one that told me to go look at this show. Let's see what she got to say. Hey,
Hi.
Kyrie.
Well, first, I want to give the disclaimer. I was not the one who told you about the show.
You was?
No, I told you about
Oh, too
Honeymoon
hot for him.
Island.
My
Yeah.
bad.
No, it's
My
fine.
bad. Wrong one.
I've never seen the show, so it's fine.
Oh. Well, you need to go see it.
Yeah.
So we can get off the show anyway.
Yeah.
Talk about love.
It's Love Line.
hmm Okay, so coming from a younger perspective, and just starting to like really date and going to college and watching my friends date and have relationships, I do feel like the answer is yes. It definitely can be blind. Um, we're learning to, well, let me say this. We're getting to know ourselves for one, and we're getting
Mhm.
to know someone else in the process. And I feel like a lot of things we're learning if we like, if we don't like, if we're okay with this, if we're not okay with this. So I feel like love has the potential to be blind. Like I can say, being in a relationship and being in my first relationship, I've noticed that, hey, this is something that I was blind to looking back on it and saying, that's not something that I don't think I would normally be okay with or something I would have corrected. And it's something I had to look back on. And since it being my first relationship, being young, and of course seeking guidance from older women as well, I've learned that yes, love can be blind, but sometimes, as like the definition says, that it's like lacking the awareness. So it's
Mm,
blind, but sometimes it's not purposely blind. Like they're not out here purposely being blind to it. Now there are some cases where I feel like people are just ignoring that, but
yes.
I could definitely say being a young person in relationships, I think we are definitely blind to it at times because we're just unaware. We're just lacking it. And it has something to do with growth and experience and learning, what you like, what you don't like, what you're okay with, what you're not okay with. So I could definitely say love is blind, but it doesn't always have to be.
So Kyrie, look at me, I got the
Go ahead, girl.
question. So at this point, with the experience that you have in relationships, what is one of the main factors you think that would make you blind when seeking a relationship or
Uh, I can honestly say my biggest thing is like trauma, like knowing their family trauma, their family issues. It will make me blind to things that they have going on with them. For example, like if they have any trauma on, on their father's side, their father isn't in their life, and it shows in our relationship. I would be blind to that, and I would make excuses for it as, oh, well, their father wasn't in their life, and they're like this because of this and this and this. But that still doesn't make the situation or what happened right, even though they're acting that way because of what they lack. That does not make it okay, and I shouldn't put an excuse there for them, even though they do have that trauma. I shouldn't put that there and try to excuse it. It's okay, and just kind of brush how I feel away.
yeah,
Good,
yeah,
great.
absolutely.
Because we will do that because of our emotions, because of our love, because we want to be with that person. We'll kind of just move stuff to the side. And so that's good that you are aware of that. Do you want to say anything else? Because that was really good.
Uh, I just want to say that I know kind of it iterates what I said earlier that like people my age, I'm 19, so people my age, young adults kind of getting into the world. I could definitely say that watching my peers and as well as myself that we're going to make mistakes in relationships because we're learning as the older generation and the generation before that did. But I do feel like one thing my generation needs to do that they don't is talk to their elders or talk to their mothers, their aunts,
Mm,
whoever it may be, because I am a strong person or a strong young adult who feels that you know, we should get the help from, older generations because they've been through it. Now, of course, there are some situations that could be a little different because I went through a situation that my mom couldn't help me with because it was something that she had never experienced. So
right.
I do feel like we should ask older generations for help and advice, and it would make our lives so much easier if we did. And I wish my generation looked at it like that instead of feeling like they know everything, and not just
All
about
right.
love, but just in general.
Okay, girl. Y'all better hear her.
I know that's right.
Y'all generation.
But hear that older people too. Sometimes we think
That's
the younger
right.
people don't want to hear from us.
That's
A
right.
lot of times it's the way that we come at the younger people, right?
Right.
Makes them not want to hear us. So stop lying to yourself and about your relationships and tell these young people what they looking what they gotta look forward to, what's coming up. Because I think that a lot of them do want the knowledge. They just don't want their head beaten off of what they doing. So just
They don't want no judgment.
right.
They got to get rid of that bitter root judgment that I'm talking about on live on in the morning time. Right? So I thank you so much, Kyrie. You're gonna stay on. We're gonna bring Tyree coming on and we're gonna hear her perspective on is love blind. Hey Tyree,
Hi. Hi.
how are you,
So
sweet? Let's
I'm
hear
really
you.
good. So to piggyback off of everyone else, I do feel like love has the potential to be blind, and sometimes I feel like sometimes we voluntarily put our shades on, and
Mm,
sometimes they're just on due to like there being an innocence there, especially being like a younger person who has yet to, like experience all that I'm going to experience with love. I've just scratched the surface. So it's like I still have a lot to, I'm pretty green in that area, especially in romantic relationships. And so I definitely do feel that love has the potential to be blind. But I don't feel like it's blind all the time, because sometimes we know what it is. And we have the awareness to know that, okay, this is not love, and I should not accept this, because what? But um yeah, I think due to like the lack of knowledge, lack of experience, there being some level of innocence there, we can be blindsided at times. And hindsight is 2020. So looking back at it, we realize that, that wasn't love. But while we're in the moment, while we're um in like this romantic bliss, and like not even just romantic, but while the relationship is fresh, whether it be platonic, family, anything, um I do feel like, us seeing that potential in a person will block out every bit of reality. And so,
The
you know
potential.
yeah,
Mm,
we are more interested in what we desire a person to be at times, rather than what they
mm,
actually are. And so,
mm.
yeah, I feel like potential can be blinding.
Woo! My God. Yes, it is. Lord have
Potential
mercy.
potential can be
You
blinding,
saying a
and
lot, sis.
I feel like it's because we have we have these expectations of people who say that they love us. And so once we put those expectations on them, um that creates a whole different ball game. And it can be unrealistic expectations, or it could be something that someone fed us and made us believe was real. But
Yeah.
we often marry the potential instead of the reality.
Ooh, Lord.
So when you started talking, you said that sometimes we willfully put the shades on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you feel like causes us? I mean, because you went into potential. Now, listen, that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
Listen, Oprah might come back out of retirement to talk about that. But like, what do you think causes us to put the blinders on when we are aware of certain things?
um I think it could be a few things. One big one is, like Kyrie said, trauma. Most times when we lack something, we often operate out of trauma. And so, in order to get what we feel like we need, we're willing to do anything to have it. We're willing to overlook, bypass, just keep quiet. And
Jesus.
yeah, and that definitely comes back to bite. But yeah, just wanting, just having a desire for something so badly that you're willing to even put the blinders on for yourself and take away your self-love, and to be in a situation that you want.
And I think that's key, Tyree. Like when you bring up the idea of we want something so bad that we're willing to literally put anything in that place, right?
Hmm.
Because so for me, it goes back to what I feel about myself, what I believe about myself in that space, right? And which is why
Yeah.
I say like a lot of times, you know, the societal standard of when I should be even trying to enter into. I mean, since we're talking about romantic relationships,
Hmm.
it's just like there's no way that I can properly choose a mate in a
Hmm.
space at 19, 20, 20.
Hmm.
Listen, at this big age now, for me, I'm like, I probably should have started to about 30, 31. Because number one, like you shift so much in that time span, right? So I could just think about who I was at 19 years old versus who I am. I ain't gonna tell you how old I am now, but at this age now, at this age now, it's like, oh, what I thought was, yeah, that's not even, like, I
Yeah.
can't even imagine being in the space that I was at that point because
Hmm.
everything is so la la in a sense.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we're trying to fill a void,
Hmm.
whether that be, and most of the time it's a God space because we're trying
Hmm.
to figure out our own self worth. We're trying to figure out our own what makes us who am I in
Yeah.
that sense. And so when we tie ourselves to someone else, just say you get with somebody that has a strong sense of who they are, you find
Mhm.
yourself tagging on and going in the direction that
Yeah.
person going because they have something in that space. And like you said, that potential thing. And I think from the female perspective, because we're naturally nurturers and things like that. So if you give us something, we're to take it and multiply it, right? So when we
Yeah.
see the potential of a person, we start to try to cultivate
Yeah.
what we see in that person. And that person may not even have the drive for the thing that we see in them, right? And
Yeah.
so then we start to give all of our energy and all of our creativity to this thing
Mhm.
versus what lies in us, right? And so that's how I think big blinders come on because now, oh, I see this, but it's like that's delusion though, right? Because that
Yeah.
doesn't even exist. What is potential? Potential is the thing to come. It's not what's reality right now. It's what I'm hoping to be. And
Mhm.
so we get so caught up in what we hope a thing to be that we
Yeah.
miss out on what it really is today. So I think
Yeah.
that's huge. Some of the points that you made.
And the expectation of something.
Yeah.
You said about the expectation, and we supposed to have expectations, but
Yeah.
they're our expectations,
Mhm.
and you put the expectation of yourself on that individual, and they don't have the potential to
Yeah.
be that, then you're disappointed and you're hurt. But that was never that person in the get-go. They didn't have the
Right.
capacity to be that. You put that on them.
Right.
So that then you get your feelings hurt. You shouldn't be
Right.
hurt off an expectation that you had.
I think
Cause
due
that
to mhm.
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
think I think due to like lack of self-love and like us putting the blinders on even for ourselves, I think we a lot of the times contribute to our own heartbreak. And it's not always all on the other person because just like they are a person in the situation, so are we. And there has to be a level of accountability for yourself. But I think that also stems from having love for yourself. So you can't hold yourself accountable if you don't love yourself.
Got to love yourself. And if y'all got that at this age, y'all gonna be good when we get our age. Because we really trying to catch up to self-love. Because we were taught you love others pretty much more than you love yourself. And
Mhm.
so we're trying to run to the self-love. If y'all can catch that at 19, 20, I always give you an extra year, 22.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, my girls are getting older. If you catch that now, when you get to our age, which is
Mhm.
our age, you already be good. But listen, we got some dudes up here, some young guys up here, and I cannot believe. I'm so proud of my boy that's I'm about to put on. I did not believe he was gonna do this for me, but he up here for his machete, and I want to hear what he got to say. Ah! All right, my boy Jordan is coming on first, and then we're gonna get some perspective from some another male dude. Come on, Jordan. What's going on? I got too excited. But it's stuck. Let's do it again. That's
He
because
might be
I
having internet issues.
Jordan, we can't hear you. I see you on, but we can't hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay, so we can hear you, Jordan. There we go.
No, he's stuck now.
Okay,
All right,
we're
let's
gonna
go
we're gonna
to
come back to
we coming back to
you.
you. Let's go to Christian and see what Christian has to say.
Hey,
Hey,
can you guys hear me
Christian.
all right?
Yes, perfect. Let's hear your perspective as a male in the youthful age. How old are you, Christian? You don't mind us asking?
Yes, man, I'm 23.
Oh yeah, you're the age. Let's go. So is love blind to you?
Sure, I'm just gonna come right out the gate and I'm gonna
Let's
say
go.
no, I don't think love is blind. I had a differing opinion before you had asked me that question initially, but upon further thought, I just have to go with saying that I don't think love is blind. And the reason I say
Okay.
that is because I think a lot of the early stages of a relationship confuse a lot of people because feelings are swayed by two partners, physical attraction, their lifestyle, and there's a lot of infatuation with that person. But as soon as the honeymoon phase is over and the dust settles, I think that real true love is having that deep understanding of the other person's like strengths, weaknesses, and flaws, and still choosing to stay with that person regardless. But I think that in infatuation, which is the early stage of relationship, I think that we choose to overlook a lot of their minor like flaws and whatnot, because again, like you guys said, we have expectations for the person. But I don't think that's love. I think that's infatuation.
Okay. Okay, so you said love is or not blind. I need to get that again. I missed
Love is
it.
not blind. I think love isn't blind.
Okay, can you? Because I'm trying to make sure I understand. Don't talk about me. I'm an older lady, so you gotta sometimes say stuff slow for me.
Of
So
course, of
love
course.
is not blind because of what again?
I think love is not blind because I think that in the early stage of a relationship, I think that's infatuation. I don't think that's love. I think
Okay.
that what you guys
Okay.
think is love, like as in the sense of I love this person, so I'm just gonna overlook a lot of aspects about that person because I choose to love them. I don't think that's love. I think that's infatuation.
But you think we look over them in an infatuation?
Correct. Yeah, that's what I believe.
Okay.
So I agree with Christian, like in that space, like because that's usually the start of what we think love can grow into. Like, you know, when you start there, you're usually in that infatuation stage. You love every single thing about the person. They can do no wrong. Um, I think it stays blind when you stay in that space because some people they never come out of that in a sense with some people, right? And so you'll stay in that blind state. Like you said, I 100% agree with you as far as like once you are in the love space and you know that you're in the love space, it absolutely is about being able to connect with someone, understand. I mean, it's just like God's love for us to know somebody and all their flaws, can hear their highs, lows, the attitude, the this, to know what you're like when you're in grief, to know what you're like when you're in sickness, to know what you're like in health, to understand the way that you think and process on certain things. Absolutely, because I have to choose, like you said, to stand with that person through all of that, knowing, okay, this is an imperfect person. Um, and so to, my thing, I think going into like another space of the conversation is just once I believe that I'm in that space of love, okay, now how do I process this? Do I give the same grace that I want allowed to me in certain situations? Or am I ready to just split once you get on my nerves? You know what I mean? When things start going a different way, do we work hard enough to have an understanding with the people that we say that we love to even get to the space of, okay, well, this person may act like this because of this, or this may be happening, not from a justification standpoint, but from the point of I need to understand who this person is to be able to deal with them, right? Um, if I know, I think me and Sean were just talking about this the other day. This lady don't talk on the phone a lot. She's not gonna call you. She's not gonna, that's
They know
just not
that.
her person. And see, so that's the thing. So anybody that's in close relationship with her understands that this is not a strong suit, right? So for me to wake up tomorrow after being friends, I never could put a time on it, but it's been a long time. It's been a long time. But for me to wake up tomorrow with a new idea of you don't call me, you don't care about me, you don't love me. What? That y'all ain't called your phone in 27 years. What are you talking
Ever.
about? So I think sometimes we don't allow or think about, even as we grow in life in these different stages, like thinking back to, okay, did this person ever offer that?
Right.
And just because we change and grow into a different space, we expect people to come along and grow in the other. And it's like, that's not fair.
They never was that
They were
person.
never that person. They never provided that for you. They never
Never.
off of that. And so, I think I think it's male and female. Now, I'm sure males will try to say that it's more female, maybe, but well, I'm gonna say this too. I think it is a lot us too because I think men are a little bit more simple than we. I mean, not dumb, y'all, but y'all know what I mean. I think that y'all kind of know. I don't want that to be taken the wrong way, not simple, but I just think you got. Let me see. I think Renee said something in the comments. She said, "Men know that they want a relationship within a very, very short period." Yeah. And she says, "Women are different. We're more tolerable." And so that's what I mean. I think a man like kind of knows this is what fried chicken and biscuits. This is my favorite meal. You can make me fried chicken and biscuits all day long. What the woman gonna do? Are you sure you like fried chicken and biscuits? You like fried chicken and biscuits? You like slipping in your biscuits? Yes. We're trying to like
fried biscuits.
Analyze. You like fried chicken and biscuits? That's where we are. And so because we do tolerate things on a different level. We do. Tyree hit it on the head. I think when she talked about that whole potential thing. I know a lot of times, just thinking back, just in different situations, it's like, oh well, this has the potential to be this. This can look this way, and you get so excited on that you do lose focus of everything else. So we gotta have a tough enough connection to understand who the person is to be able to grow in love as we keep going along, right? Because of course I'm not the same person I was when I was 19. Of course I'm not the same person I was when I was 25. Here we're getting at 30, 35, 30, as you go along down the line, you become something else because of the experiences you've been through. It causes you to change the way that you think about certain things, the way that you process certain things, right? And so in a relationship, if you're going through those things in a relationship, you have to think about that. Just because you went through a traumatic situation doesn't mean that your partner went through it in that same space, but they're still going through something in that space as well. So to be able to grow and process on that level and give each other grace to grow and become, is a whole nother aspect of the love option for me.
So, Christian, I want to ask, how do you know when you love somebody? I want to ask you, how do you know?
Sure. I think when you love someone, when you've been with them long enough that you know when they wake up, when they go to sleep, who they trust the most, who they go to when they're in trouble, and you just know so much about them that you're able to pinpoint like what are their strong suits and what are their weak points and what aspects of them can I tolerate? Can I really see a future with this person? Can I see staying this for a long period? And I think once both parties have come to that type of agreement, then I think that they can agree that they're truly in love.
Okay, what about you, Kyrie? How do you know when you love somebody?
Um, since like spoke about being 19 and kind of being in my first real relationship, I'm still trying to fully figure out that answer. As of right now, I feel like for me, it's like being a peaceful person, like being my peace when I need it, when I'm going through something with family or school, having that person I can call on, be supportive, but also tell me the real deal as well. Um, I think for me, how do I know I love a person is when I think about the person constantly. And I know people like, well, young people do that all the time, but the type of person I am, if I don't like you, I'm not gonna want to be bothered. Like that's who I am. I kind of get
And
into
she
like
right.
leave me alone, like ignoring people, like I don't want to be bothered. So if I want to give you the time of day, I must really like you. If I want to be on the phone with you all the time, because I know that's a teenage thing, but that's not a Kyrie thing. So if I'm doing all those things, then that kind of lets me know I at least have a strong like for you. Now, I haven't fully figured out if it's love yet, because I'm still kind of young, still trying to figure that out. But I know those qualities really matter to me to even go into the love idea.
And I like that. I honor the fact that you were saying that you're young because a lot of us think of we love something. And that word is so, that word love, period, is a huge word. And everybody has their own definition and their own meaning of it. But before I get too far into that, I want to get Diamond up here. I know she like, they done forgot about me. So Diamond, I'm gonna let you come on and we're gonna know from you, is love blind? Look at her. Cheese.
No, Miss Shauna, because I really did think you forgot about me.
No, we didn't forget about you, baby. We did not.
Okay. I'm Diamond. I'm 22, so I just wanted to give you all that for some reference. And Christian is my boyfriend.
Yes.
Come on, love. Claim that man.
Yes, you better make sure you tell them that belong to me.
Oh my word, Miss Shauna, like really. Okay, so I kind of lost a little bit at the end of Tyrese because my niece called me and then I lost audio. But I'm just gonna assume that you was still talking about like the potential thing because that's the last thing T just said.
Well, no, I want you to answer, is love blind? That's the first thing.
I wanna piggyback off of the what she said about sometimes you put on shades.
Oh, okay.
That's where I want to go with it. So I'm gonna say love is blind, and sometimes it's not blind because like if it's not blind, then you put on the shades. I feel like that's when you put on the shades. That's when it's really not blind. And I want to give an example because I feel like as women, well, I'm gonna speak for me. When I was young in high school, my previous relationship, I knew like he had issues, and for some reason, women always want to feel like they can fix men. So I looked past all the issues because I was like, yes, I could fix him. If I could just love him right and fix the issues, then I can get the person that I know is behind, all the trauma and the issues. And then we can be just one big happy couple and live happily ever after. That was the way I was thinking about it. And I talked to my mom yesterday and she said she did the same thing with my daddy. She was like, if we just feel like we can love them the right way, then they would be able to change. And I feel like that's where like love not being blind comes in. Because I knew he had all the issues, but I knew I was willing to try to help him change it. And like that's where, well, that was where my fault was. I don't do that anymore, thank the Lord. But
why don't you do it anymore? Why don't you do it anymore?
I realized
that's not your job.
I'm not Jesus. I cannot change anybody, and
thank you.
I don't do it anymore. I lead them straight to Him if that's what they want. But I was crazy back then. I didn't have the Lord in my life like I should have. So I thought I was doing my big one.
But listen, girl, people got the Lord in their life and still doing it because they feel like that's their responsibility. If I love you, then I can work change through you. Especially us women, we feel like we can change a man.
Welcome.
Good luck with that. That's all I'm saying. It's like, because that's not your responsibility. That's not our responsibility. If they don't come with the good stuff, if they don't come with what they need and what you need, you can't make them give it to you.
Right.
So I don't know. I think that's a misconception of all of us. It ain't just no teenage. It's all the grown folk. Jesus, we all think that we can. It's like we make them our projects.
And I think it's because sometimes instead of spending that time on self to figure out what it is that I need to bring out my potential and to bring out the things that I need to do, it's much easier to focus that on somebody else and try to get them to a space, right? And it's not until you sit down and really realize and have the conversation with yourself, like I say, why would I even want to? Here's the thing right here, to me, even in that statement. If I love you, I shouldn't want to change you, period, because I should love you for where you are, right? So if I'm going into a relationship saying I'm gonna love him to change, well, sound like you need somebody else. If you're trying to change him into something, that means you don't love him or you don't love that person, because in your mind, you want to create something else, and whether it's in that person or not, again, that's not up to you to decide. That person may not ever want to become what you think you see in that person, right? So I think we have to think about things like that when we're looking at it. If I love something, I love water. I love water.
With lemon in it.
I don't want to put a Crystal Light pack in this. I don't want to add sugar. I just want to drink. This is pure life. This is going to give me pure life, just the way that it is. I don't want to change it. I want it just the way that it is. If I want to change, then if I want to put something else in, I want Kool-Aid. I want lemonade. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't love water. I can't love water if I don't love it the way that it is right here in this bottle.
Right.
And so, and I just, that seems simple like that, but literally, I think we go down and we pick up a thing, we're like, oh, I love this with additives, and I want to put this on. You know, like, no. If you don't like what that person is doing,
girl, don't shut up. Diamond, you got anything else to say, babe? You said love is blind or love isn't blind.
Yeah, I feel like it's just one of the two. Either you choose.
Oh, you get to choose.
No, but sometimes you do choose. Because I chose to put on my shades and be like, yeah, I'm going to work on this. It was like an experiment. And I was see it through. But thank the Lord I didn't see it through. But that was my mindset.
So you had treated that dude like a project. He was your I'ma fix him. Y'all, Jordan is back. Let's see if we can bring him on and see what he's gonna say.
Oh, I'm about to say.
You said wait. I'm sorry.
You are on. You are live.
I had to swap some things around a bit.
Is love blind, Jordan?
I think it can be blind.
Can you adjust your volume?
Your volume is too low, honey. Can you push it? Can you turn yourself up?
I don't think love is blind.
Okay, why not?
Blind you.
Unless you allow it to blind you.
Okay. You gonna go into
the man of little words.
You gonna go into that a little bit?
Okay. So I feel like a lot of times people make excuses, or they'll create an image of somebody in their head that doesn't actually exist. And I know y'all were talking about
Jordan. We can hardly hear you, honey.
You know what? Can I? Give me a second. Just give me a second.
Give you a second. Okay. He gonna come back again. Okay. Just because I want him up here to say what he got to say. Do y'all have anything to comment on what is being said already? You guys that's already been up here. Diamond made a good point about us trying to be fixers. Do y'all find yourself doing that, Tyree and Kyrie? To agree.
I think previously, yes. Because I felt like that was my duty as a girlfriend. I thought that, I took that on, and I thought I was just doing the right thing. I thought that's what I was supposed to be doing. But soon enough I found out that's not for me. That's not my responsibility. And yeah. So I think
to feel like that's your role, like that's a huge thing.
I think a lot of it has to do with the influence of our society, of our generation, and what we paint relationships out to be. Being that was my first relationship, I wanted to do everything right, and I also wanted to do what I thought he wanted me to do. And so a lot of my advice came from outside sources that were not of God necessarily. They were of the world. And so yeah, I was really just doing my best with what I had. And it didn't it didn't really get far. And that was a lesson learned. But I do think that, because due to like that area of my life being green, I had never experienced anything in that romantic area of life. I was just doing what I thought was right. And I thought it was right for me to fix him, but I couldn't. So, yeah.
And so okay, when we say fix him or
Mhm.
fix, because Christian, do you have that experience? You might have had that experience as a male trying to fix a woman too. What about for you, you guys? Do y'all try to fix girls?
Nope, never. No. I
I love that
You
answer.
just
listen,
take them
listen,
just
listen.
the way they are, huh?
When I think we all are flawed. No one's perfect, right? And I think we
Okay.
see, at least for me as a guy, we see everyone as they are. So it's either we deal with it or we don't.
Perfect.
Oh wow, and that's probably really,
That's what I
really.
say about the
They still,
simpleness. They
yeah.
straightforward. Let me say straightforward. But y'all see a thing and y'all, you know what you want in a sense. It's like, okay, I see this person. I think that a man won't even give you the time of day if they don't like what's in front of them. You know what I mean? I think sometimes because we are to be found, anything that finds us, we want to go with it sometimes. And we be like, okay, we're more than a naked.
Oh
But
God,
for me, that's because of the lack.
Jesus.
Because I feel like that's a lack of inner love, though. You see what I'm saying? Because, he that finding a wife, he that,
Lord.
and like, we out here waiting to be found. And so you don't know, you don't know how many gonna come to find you, right? And I think that sometimes women will settle for a thing because they don't either they feel like this is all I'm gonna get, they feel like this is the best that I'm going to get, or opposite, like if it's for another reason, maybe because some of us have a type, right? Or we'll say, oh, I only like it if it's this, that, or the other, and then we put that person on a pedestal, right? So then you get the muscles, 6'9", money in the bank, whatever, and it's like you might not even like this dude on no level, but he checked those boxes, those trivial boxes that we sometimes create. And then it's like, oh, he treated you like trash, but look at him, look at her, or whatever. I'm gonna just go ahead and deal with it, or So I think a lot of that is about our mentality when we get into these situations. Because if I don't have enough love for myself, if I don't have enough reverence for myself, then I will take anything, and I will start to justify somebody else's actions. I will start to, adjust for somebody else because I don't know my worth in that space, right? And so I think the biggest thing for all of us, I think for me from this conversation, is for us to understand, male and female, that until we're in a space where we can love ourselves on a level that we understand who we are, what we want, understand what our flaws are, understand what our insecurities are, understand the things that trigger us to be different and process, and handle people differently, that we can even accept love in that space. Because until I understand that I have triggers, I can't understand and respect anybody else's triggers.
Right.
And until I understand, you see what I'm saying? Until I can sit in a space where I cannot just turn off, I think we all have a thing that we say, oh, I'm not gonna do. I try to tell my sisters all the time, never say never, like literally in that space. Because I know it's some things that I said I would never do. And life has found me in those very spaces because I said that I would never do it. No, I've never been in a position that would allow me the option to see if I had to do it or not, or if I would do it. You see what I'm saying? So it's some things that we say subconsciously or whatever, but when we're presented with that thing in front of us, it's like, oh, well, now I'm changing my mind a little bit about this. Like, so, but I have to be so solid with me. And I think that will create a bigger attraction or a bigger connection with the person that we're trying to love, because they see, oh, well, this person pours into themselves. This person loves themselves like this. So I can't even come half tail because this person is already doing this on this level for themselves. So I can't come in, a lot of times we don't do enough for ourselves, so we're looking for that person to come and bring us to this space of love or make us feel a certain way and give us this confidence and give us this. And it's like, no, literally, I don't need, and don't take this the wrong way, I don't need anything from you. I'm a whole individual right here by myself. You see what I'm saying? Everything that I need comes from God, my source. And when I'm in that space, then that person can't shake me. Even if you're having a bad day, I can deal with you on a different level and allow you grace to be that person and understand where you are, because I'm not looking for you to bring something else to me, right? Because that's not your responsibility. So
in my senses of that is, okay, in relationships, you can help each other out, but you cannot look for them to be that source for you. So if I have a problem with my mouth, which I have, and I want to get it right though, I want to correct it, my mate or spouse in my case could help me if I listen, if I'm open to that. But if I do have issues, triggers, trauma, I'm not going to take it from that individual because I don't want to hear that from them. But you are supposed to balance each other out to me in a relationship. You where you're weak, that person can help you out in that area. And where you're strong, you can help that person out. But it's not to change them. It's because that's how you come together. I got you, baby. Like, or not just, and we're talking relationship wise, but this matters in mothers, fatherhood, sisterhood, all hoods. It's how you see relationships, period. Is love blind? Is love blind in your relationship with your grandparents? Is love blind? Because I was having a conversation with my mom. In her generation, my mom's generation, they were used to going to their mother, and their mother, they called their mother, and I was just like, I don't think that's right. Like, I think you should call your child too, but their expectation at that for her generation was that you honor your mama by calling her. I shouldn't have to call you. You should call me. Yeah, no. That doesn't work for me because I feel like you should share that responsibility. And that should be a balancing out. So me telling my mom, like, no, you gotta call me sometimes too. Like, you need to see about me sometimes. Well, I didn't call, my mama didn't call me. She called me every so often. Okay, but you need to go see your grandkids. Like, you want them to see you, go see them. So it works in kind of all kind of arenas. What are we looking for? And then we're mad at individuals because they may not be giving us what we want or what we need, but you ain't never said nothing to them either.
I want to highlight what you said too, because I think it ties into what you just said as well. Sometimes we're getting the very thing that we need from the person, but we can't receive it in a space because either we haven't thought about that person or not. So like how you said, if we're supposed to make each other better inside a situation, sometimes you have that mate or person in your life that's telling you, nah, you need to not do that. You need to change that. But it's also a trigger for you.
Yeah.
So then you can't hear it right from that person because you know you need to fix
Like,
it.
stop poking me, dude.
Look, see, and that's how you feel. You're like, stop telling me that. Don't tell me that now another day.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because, and so now you can't receive it. We say that we want somebody that makes us better. But then when they offer us their critique or say, oh, I think you could have handled that better. Oh, I think you should have thought about it this way. Oh, there you go. It's always got to be.
No way.
No way. So am I to offer another perspective, or am I to just allow you to keep being? You see, so that's a confusion in us. That's a double-mindedness. Do you want my help and my feedback on certain situations, or do you want to continue to be the way that you are? Because sometimes in a situation, a person can very well know you a little bit better than you know yourself.
Right.
And I mean that because they see you from a different perspective.
Right.
Most of the time, we're looking at ourselves through either the flaws that we have or through the confidence and idea that we have about ourselves, right? That person sees you from a space that you'll never see, that you'll never understand, right? And so they see some of the things that you do this child so many times that, you realize you just started doing this? Oh, my bad, I didn't even realize that. I couldn't see it for myself because I have this one view. I'm focused one way. But the people around us, they see you from different aspects. And if I'm supposed to, like you said, whether it's mother, father, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever, we should be open to the feedback that we get from the other people. Lawrence was saying earlier, he said that he took, I want to go back up. He said Alette was a major influence in his transition to acknowledge how much he loved her because he wanted to change. I wanted to change my positions and my views for the betterment.
Oh, wow.
And so he went on to say that, he left street life and hustling and different things like that because he wanted his relationship to work.
So Alette brought change to him, because to me that sounds like he wanted that anyway. So she was the one to help him find that. Is that what we're hearing?
And he says so he wanted to value the things that mattered most to her and not just be selfish. So that's huge.
Oh, wow.
That's huge, Lord. And I don't know a whole bunch about your story, but like that's just
wow.
I would almost say that she wasn't necessarily fussing or pushing you down to say, okay, make the change, but just because you saw who she was, there was something in you that wanted to change. And so that's natural, not from the perspective of how we were talking about, oh, I'm gonna go in trying to change this person.
Right.
But for this person to see me and know me and begin to love me to where they want to change and the things that are important to me become the things that are important to them. And that's just how God loves us, right? The things, our wants, our needs become his same thoughts, right? He changes it over. And so that's how we become one in these situations, or how we mesh or have better conversations and relationships, no matter what type of relationship it is. We have to be willing enough to acknowledge the other person enough. And like you said, just not be selfish. A lot of times we're very selfish and we don't realize it.
So, okay, in we really get ready to go off. But that selfishness, to what extent are you selfish? Like, or not selfish? Because some of us are not selfish to the point where we forget about ourselves and we go lacking and go without. You want to make sure that other individual, even in your friendship relationships, you want to make sure they're good, but you don't see about yourself. In that case, you need some selfishness a little bit, huh?
Right.
Like, because you got to see about you too now, right? Like, in his case, he wasn't selfish to her because he wanted to please her, right?
Right.
So what's the balance? I see it.
I'm about to say, because me and Tyree had this conversation like a few weeks ago, and we was talking about our different ways that we're selfish. And she was telling me, she was like, you're selfish just enough to where like you'll help somebody, but you won't help somebody past the point of like putting yourself like if like in need of something. Like if somebody needs some money or something and I got the money and I can help them, I won't give them, all my money or whatnot, but I'm gonna give them a little something, but I'm not gonna give past the point to where now I'm uncomfortable. So that's kind of where like my selfishness is. Like I'll help you, but I'm not helping you past the point to where now I'm in the situation like Jesus will probably want me to, but I'm not there yet. So yeah.
But I feel like, so with the Jesus thing, I feel like that scripture to keep coming alive to me is do unto others as you would do for yourself. And in some cases, like me, I went past myself and do too much. My therapist said, you got $10 and you give 9 of them away, and you need to keep 9 and give 1 away. Well, that don't make sense in my world, because I was used to giving it all away. But when you have an empty cup and you being that person always giving in every relationship, then that's not no balance in that.
Right.
And so in my older age, I'm learning that no, you gotta have some balance. Like, what, Kyrie, what you doing for me?
Actually, I would love to speak on that topic because that's something this summer I've come to the realization, which is something I've spoke to you and Miss Jessica about. But I had a cousin and our relationship was one sided. You know, she had a lot of family issues, so I would be her listening ear, her shoulder to cry on. And when my dad recently passed, I noticed it wasn't reciprocated. And not that because she didn't want to, it's because she was never taught how. But I felt that she didn't even try either. So it really hurted me that she wasn't there how I was there for her all these years when I was putting my feelings, my issues to the side because I felt like her issues were more important than mine, more serious than mine. I have both of my parents. I have, you know, this nice, decent home, you know. So I always felt putting myself to the side, putting my feelings to the side. So I'm just now realizing today, after probably 10, 15 years, that the friendship I thought we had is not actually there. And it was like a hard pill to swallow because I looked at her as like, even though she was my cousin, like a best friend. And it's really not that, and not that anything against her or anything like I don't have any hard feelings towards her, but I just noticed our relationship isn't as strong and it's not built on what I thought it was. And that's something I'm just now realizing because I'm still, my dad has passed about a year now, but I'm still upset that she wasn't there for me how I felt that she should. So that's something I had to learn. I also had to learn that, which this is a lesson I've been saying that I'm learning, is that everybody's not like me. And that's such a hard pill
Right.
to swallow. And everybody's not going
Right.
to love and appreciate me how I do them. And that's such a hard pill to swallow. And it has me in the point of, does that mean I need to stop loving as hard as I do and like
Mm,
basically hold myself back, or love and just not expect anything ever and just kind of feel like I'm alone in a way? Like I give all this love to friends and family and I don't get
mm,
nothing back. So that's something that I have been dealing with, like looking at that relationship and dealing with like how do I move forward in other relationships, and if I want to fix that relationship, how do I go about it so it can be balanced?
Kyrie.
that little girl, she always put you on your
Listen,
toes, baby.
listen.
It put them conversations on you that make you want to go, girl, let me go talk to Jesus first
But I
before
like
I
that.
tell you anything.
I feel like that's life, and I
Woo!
think that creates the imbalance in relationships,
It
and
does.
sometimes drives people away from each other in this sense, right? Because you're right, you'll never find you.
No,
Usually, you'll never find the you. Now that doesn't mean to alter the you.
no.
That just means give you to the people that can receive you on that in that space, right? Um, everything, nothing is ever going to be reciprocated on the level that you give out. I don't believe, right? Because I think that we all have different gifts and callings in that space as well, too, right? So with some things, if you're, I mean, even on natural side, if you're an influencer, if you're a healer, if you're a person to come and give light to somebody else, you're always going to seem like you're giving out more in spaces, right? And just because the other person doesn't give back on that level, it doesn't necessarily mean, just like how you found out with your cousin, it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't love you in that same space. It's just they don't have the capacity to love the way that you love, right? You learned your way because of either what you saw or what somebody gave to you, right? Because nobody really, who teaches you how to love? You can't teach a person how to love. You know, mama never sat down and said,
Mhm.
okay, 1 + 1 is 2, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then listen, when you love, you do. They don't say that, but you grow up in a household and either you see what your mom does towards your dad or you see, vice versa. And so you pick up these habits of what you feel like love is, or I'm gonna do this. Like Tyree said earlier, I feel like certain things are your duty to do, right? Like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do whatever. And so it's like, but is that an act of love even in itself? Is it, am I putting so much out to get love back? That's the first question for like people like us as well. When you feel like you're over giving, is it because I'm trying to fill a void, or I'm trying to give so much so you see me and give it back to me? Because that can be inside of a deficiency as well, where we're just overdoing and I got to do so much to make people love me and see me, and you see what I'm saying? And I want to be that friend and I want to be the whatever, but like Shama said, if you're not giving yourself any of that. I think where I am now is like, yes, you need support from friends. You need support from, different people and, prayers. Yes, we need each other. But ideally, in my mind, everything that I need to build me up and create that confidence and everything that I need, that's supposed to come from God. And when we start to attach ourselves to get it from other spaces, that's where we find ourselves imbalanced, right? Because we're trying to find something or get something or work to get something back, and you don't have to work for love. You shouldn't have to work for love,
no.
right?
And
Right, because
Should
a
not
lot
have
of
to work for
people
it.
do it.
And I definitely hear you. And I think what I've learned in this process, because I'm trying to like really look at myself and just, because that was a situation that was heavy on my mind. So that's the situation I've been trying to understand and deal with. But I've noticed that, because my mom always told me, like if you give somebody money, technically you're not supposed to expect it back. Like you, of course, people say they're going to pay you back, and usually they do. But if you loan somebody money, my mom always taught me technically you're not supposed to be hunting down for it, looking for it. They're kind of basically supposed to give it back, out the kindness of their heart. So, with that being said, when I do things, when I show love, when I'm there for people, I don't, in that moment, I never expect it back. Like, I don't think, oh, this is going to be great for when I need her 3 months from now. Like, I don't think of that process. Mine's is more like, okay, I think back when I'm in that hurt moment, that hard time. I think like, oh, well, like, why hasn't this friend, like, this friend knows what's going on, and she's not there for me, and it kind of baffles me because I'm just like, I was there for you, so I guess it's like I don't understand how you can't even try to be there for me, even in your way. Like, I'm not expecting you to do what I do, but even in some form, that's where mine's come in at. Like, I don't expect it right then and there, or I don't do it to get it back. I just noticed that when I'm in my hard place, that I feel like the people who I was there for is not there with me like I were for them.
Yeah.
So I feel like sometimes it could be correction by just a simple conversation. Because some people don't know that they're doing what they're doing unless you say it to them. And so, we're kind of in the likeness of the same thing, losing our fathers. And one of the preacher fellas' father called me about something else. And I told them, you didn't call me when my dad passed, so why are you calling me now for the better words? And I feel like once you make them aware of their actions, they become more remorseful. They start talking to you about it. And when we're sitting back holding it in and not talking about it, that person don't know you feel that way unless you express it, unless you tell it to them. And a lot of times we almost sometimes feel like people can read our minds. They ought to just know. They're not going to just know. So if that person is endearing enough, I think I had this conversation with Tyree. If that person is endearing enough, then you should say something to them. Like if that person is worth keeping as a friend and has that value to you, then you should say something. You shouldn't just assume they know.
Because I think a big part of that too is like some people aren't as aware, and I'm saying this just because I know y'all specifically. So some of us have gifts that cause us to feel and know certain things about people that we wouldn't normally know, right? Everybody doesn't have that. So that seems super extra to us when we're like, well, how can I know that you need a friend and that this and I'm dying and you just got me in the middle of the road? Some people just not on that level of awareness.
Yeah.
And then sometimes because they're in a different space, they can't see. So just how we're talking about blindness and love, literally, you find those blind spots because again, life is never going to be on the same level all the time. Things are going to shift where okay, I might be at my lowest point, you at your highest, but sometimes we might be at our lowest
At
at the
the
same
same
time.
time.
And then I can't provide for you what I could provide for you when I was feeling better or when I was in this other space. And that's the part that I would talk about as far as us giving the grace to people that we still want on our side. Like we gotta think about, and that's the selfishness that I'm talking about sometimes. Sometimes we're so caught up in what we have going on that we can't see nothing else. And that causes that to be blind, period. So I can't love you the way that I need to love you, or I start falling off from doing some of the things that I was doing, not because I want to stop doing those things, but because the space that I'm in caused me to pull away in that space. And then now 6 months passed, and now this is the new normal.
Her headphones.
Production. But you know what I mean? So now that I'm in a different space, I can't provide the same things that I could, or I'm not as aware as I would have been because I'm functioning from a space that I wasn't in. So sometimes it does take a nudge. Hey, remember when we used to go get ice cream at the Baskin Robbins? We've been in a long time. I'm telling you for real. So, you know.
we can go back.
So sometimes it is just that nudge, that reminder. Hey, remember we used to make time for each other. Hey, remember we used to do this. I know life has been pulling you this way. You see, sometimes we just leave it at that. We never come back to another ground. We never communicate, and then we just start separating. This gap starts to grow.
Yeah.
In friendship and relationship, and it's horrible when we talking about love relationship, right? Because you made me mad Tuesday. Now it's next Tuesday. We never talked about it, so now you further and further away from me. Further and further, I haven't talked to you. Further and further, now you on your side of the bed, I'm on my side. You see what I'm saying? Because we never came back and said, hey, I wasn't really tripping about Tuesday. Like, listen, come on back over here or whatever. We just start to create our things and be like, well, forget them. Yeah, they ain't asked me, so, you know, and then we fall into that space. So.
It's just could be a mere conversation. And sometimes we don't like to have those conflicts because she's saying it on a good end. It could be a conversation on the bad end, and where you got to tell them what you did for them and they don't do for you. So if the relationship is worth it, because I always go back to that, you have to evaluate the relationship. And if the relationship is worth the fighting for, the going to, when you look at it, do you really miss that person out your life? Do you really need them? Because some friends are for a season, some for a reason, some for a lifetime. What is it? Reason, season, lifetime? I'm missing one. Somebody told it to me. Some for a reason, some for a season, some for a lifetime. And you got to know what friends are in that season, because sometimes we want to keep on to something and it don't belong in that space no more. You grow up, you change. I talk to Diamond and Tyree a lot. Like, you could tell that they should be a lifetime friends. You're gonna go through life cycles and you're gonna come into change, but you gotta know how to handle the change. You got to know how to handle the difference when you going through life situations. That person is well enough for you to tell them about it, speak about it. Don't just let it be distance there. Talk about it.
And one question I always ask myself is just like, no matter what the relationship is, if something happens and it puts me in a space, okay, is this worth the relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Is this thing worth me not? You know what I mean? Do I still want to be around this person? Do I still want this person in my life? Has this thing caused me to not want that anymore? And if the answer is no, then I gotta find a way to ride over that. You see what I'm saying? You gotta talk about it and get my feelings back to another space. Or you see what I'm saying? We got to, because if I'm saying I still want you in my life and I still want to move forward, like I said, no matter what the relationship, then I gotta come back and we gotta try to find some space of understanding instead of just leaving it out and it becomes something else, and then it's 20 years down the line and you're like, I ain't talking to that girl. I don't even remember what we stopped talking for. You know, because a lot of stuff starts from something just that petty. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's a very small thing that we don't address. We don't share our feelings about it, and then 15 years on the deathbed, it's like, girl, you know that time I really was mad because you stepped on my toe and you ain't even say sorry. I'm like, girl, I ain't even know I stepped on your toe. Jesus.
What did Lawrence say? Because he has said a lot.
It's all kind of along the lines of what he was saying. He was just basically saying that he chose another lifestyle. Like, he was addicted to the old lifestyle that he had.
Okay.
But because of his love for his wife, he had to reconsider the path and find another means to provide that same lifestyle for her.
All right, that's good stuff right there.
Someone's talking good.
All right, you guys, y'all got anything y'all want to end with? Because we are really about over with the conversation. Love is blind. I go both ways. I say it can be either way. I didn't tell my take. It could be either way. It depends on the situation to me, like y'all have been saying the whole time. And I feel like sometimes with our blinders with love comes. You talked about blind side, Tyree. But blind side, me and Damien got into this conversation, and I'm hoping he'll come up here. So maybe I shouldn't go too far in it. Blind side and being blind is two different things. Is what we were talking about. And when you get blindsided by something, you never knew it was coming.
Mm.
It just kind of hit you in the face. And I think I was talking about that, like when you're married, you get blindsided with sicknesses. Blind, and he was like, "That's blindsided." So we got into a little debate about that. I felt like it was being blind because you didn't know it was coming. So if something happens to your mate or spouse while you're in that marriage and you had no idea, you didn't plan for it, that was blind to me. But that's a whole nother conversation. All right, so we'll get into that another day. I'm grateful to have each and every one of you up here, and your perspective matters. I want you to know that. And everything that you feel about love, it matters. Can we grow in love? I mean the word love, not in love. Can you grow in the word love? Yes. And what we supposed to try to strive for, which is a hard strive, is First Corinthians, I believe, chapter 12. I always kind of get those mixed up. It could be First or Second Corinthians, chapter 13. My bad. Love is patient. All them things. Love is kind. All them things. It's not proud. It's not rude. God help. Love keeps no record of wrong. Love searches for the truth. It always prevails. It never fails. Lord have mercy. That's God's love. Now we gotta work hard to achieve that type of love. Because I know we be proud, we be rude, we be keeping record of wrong, we do all of that. But we are striving to have better love. And when we love people, we will look beyond their faults and see what they need. We will. That I do believe. Right?
Amen.
And
Right.
I believe that. If y'all believe it or not. I believe that love covers a multitude of faults. Because sometimes you're gonna go through stuff in life that is not may not be on the right end. But if I love you, I won't leave you. If I love you, I won't forsake you. That's love to me, right? So I gave my perspective. Y'all have anything to say before y'all end this?
I got one more thing to say,
Come on.
and it's just something my granny used to when I was a
You was not about to say that. Girl, I'm not playing with you. Damn it. Go ahead. Go ahead, Diamond. Go ahead. Go ahead. I want to see you do it.
for all y'all out there. Y'all might know her name is T. That's her nickname, TZ. And she used to sing me, "It's gonna be okay, 'cause that's the way God planned it."
That girl's serious. She want us to know it's, and y'all, we not laughing at her because the words that she's saying is very good. It's gonna be okay. Because that's the way God planned it. And every way, everything that we get in, He has that plan. He knows that plan. Christian, you done got rid of your boyfriend. Christian,
It's not gonna be okay. I don't know.
Christian was like, you should not.
No, y'all, his phone died. Don't do his phone.
When he went off his foot, you
Right
did
there.
that. Oh, God, that was so funny. He was like, she not about to do this. But it is going to be okay. It is going to be all right. And that is the way God planned it. That's serious. Even though we're laughing, everything that we go through in life, God has a plan for us. And we're going to be okay. Anybody else have anything else to say, Tyree, Kyrie?
No.
Thank you all for who joined online. We had Lawrence, Cassandra,
Yes.
Dennis, Clyde is up here,
All right.
Alette, Renee, all the saints are going. Hey, Kimadri, I know you hollered at us.
Felicia,
earlier.
Bridget.
Felicia, Bridget, Everybody is up there.
I see you, DV, wonderful, Dr. Mom. Y'all always show up. Y'all push the share button so somebody else can see that if love is blind. Y'all were good. Y'all all had wisdom, nice conversation. I love y'all. I know y'all gonna be great in life because it's gonna be okay. That's what God planned it. That's how it's gonna turn out. He planned that you will prosper, even as your soul prosper. He's planned for each and one of y'all to have an expected end. And I'm excited that y'all have me in y'all life and y'all are part of my life journey. All right. Until the next time, we want to thank y'all. Don't y'all leave. My guests, don't y'all leave. But we'll see y'all in the next Heal the Youth session tomorrow morning at 7:00. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning. Okay. Until the next time. Okay. Bye.
Where everybody went?